and tried to give me like a permission to enter through Mexico. They lost me somehow, and the military took over.
Okay.
And as the military took over, they lost me through the mountains, and I slept through my seizures. And I was taken, and I woke up, and I remember I was in the mountains, and I kept seeing people going to the bathroom and eating, and I had to go to the restroom. I had to use the minivan that was brand new, and they kept switching me from minivan, and customs was with me, and I had to negotiate like the last $6. And I said, can you please let me out? And I only had my sketchbook, and I had to do drawings. And I said, one day these are going to be worth trillions of dollars. And I negotiated with the $6 finally that they let me have some cigarettes. And they bought me a Coke, and they bought me some food. But I was lost in the mountains, I don't know for how many days.
Yeah.
And after that, there was a dog that got hit, and they were going to shoot him. And I massaged the dog, and the dog started walking. And then I took my sketch pad, and that was the only thing I had left with me, because I only had one clothing that I had, because I had been lost for months. You know, I was missing for 8 months, and since the whole ordeal, since March started, and nobody knew that what was happening to me.
Right.
I was becoming invisible, and I couldn't talk to my mother, and my mother was dying, and I didn't know I was already mourning my mother. I was mourning myself through the process, and I can feel myself becoming invisible, because the police didn't do anything,
Right.
and the hospital didn't do anything in the United States. And then I made a radical decision, and Mexico didn't know what to do. And then next thing I know, I'm delegating and making deals with the military through my paintings. And I made a deal with them that they decided to take all the migrants out and put me on another minivan. Customs took me, and then they took me to a psychiatric ward.
Okay.
And on the psychiatric ward, I ended up being there for 30 days. And because I ended up in Sonora, Hermosillo,
Okay.
and I ended up in an albergue, which is where they put misplaced people, I only lasted for a little bit, and they stole my tablet, my art tablet, and I had made some paintings there, and they stole the last things that I had. That the only thing that survived is this little ring and this little necklace.
Yeah.
That it's a collaboration of a Japanese American artist that I made 13 sculptures
Yes.
with. They're in New York City, and so the intervention came through Sonora Hermosillo Psychiatric Ward that they called the Consulate of El Salvador, and they promised that they were going to get me a passport and an ID. And then there is as soon as I arrived in El Salvador, they stole me, and they took me to another place that they said they were going to save me, and they were going to take me to the consulate. Instead, they took me to another psychiatric ward, and it was an asylum, and we had to bathe with jugs of cut up jugs with cold water, and it was 80 patients, and it was like a jail. And I had to witness people dying and things like that. And I was counting the days, and then I didn't know that my family was looking for me. And I couldn't see the day of light.
Yeah.
But my spirit wouldn't break. And I kept praying to God that to help me find me, you know. And then there was an office that wouldn't keep the family in touch, that they had cut a tip
Right.
where I was. Until that one day, if I was invoicing, I was bugging the interns to find me through Facebook. And one day, finally, I heard somebody on social services that says somebody's coming to visit you. And they came in and they visited me, and I had not seen her in 41 years. It's a house where I grew up, where everything was about education, because I was well educated when I was a child.
Right.
And I was Americanized when I was a child.
Uh-huh.
And I said, I know you. I go, you're my cousin. And she immediately did a conference call. And it was Patricia Bonilla.
Uh-huh.
It's who you just met. And we did an emergency room, and then they found someone where I can stay. And they end up paying through the GoFundMe.
Uh-huh.
She ended up doing the business through the GoFundMe, and if it wasn't for our communities and my friends that put in the money in the GoFundMe, I wouldn't be here today, because it lasted until now.
Right.
And almost to the penny. And if it wasn't for Bertha managing that money, I ended up with a family, but they betrayed me because they put me under siege in exile. And I've been living in exile because I couldn't leave the house. And I was in a little room and until another intervention came. And they would take me out for coffee and to do what I had to do to feel like I was coming out. And it was little trips for coffee here and there, but he kept me under lock.
Okay.
And until one day, I did an email to the embassy through a form, and they responded. And then I sent it to my cousin Bertha in the United States, and she filled out all the forms. And then all of a sudden, the embassy quickly started responding, and I ended up getting the embassy appointment, because otherwise there is no way I would be in the United States right now.
Right.
And all of a sudden, I was talking to the consulate through a window, and I didn't think it was the consulate. And because I have my Social Security that I replaced with my permanent residency, and it said there was on November of 2023, she looked me up and ran, and they did my fingerprinting. They said, she goes, "You're going home, baby." And right away, they did that. And then they gave me the passport days before the date due. They're like, I picked it up, and they were trying to sabotage. The family was trying to sabotage my coming home. And the gossiping that was going on through a side of the family that doesn't like me and is jealous of my paintings. And I just wouldn't let go of being an artist, and I wouldn't let go of my talking, and I wouldn't let go of fighting for my life,
Right.
because it was between my life, and they were trying to deculturize me. And they refused for me to be Salvadorian. And they were trying to culturize me as Americanizing me, and the way they think their Americanized live. And so it was like a slap in the face in a country that I don't know, but I know my cultural because I'm a child of war.
Yeah.
I was there when the war happened in Honduras. And the embassy just grabbed me and just took me. And it was like I went against all the odds of the family that had me locked down.
Uh-huh.
So I was in lockdown, and Bertha and I were fighting. And to bring the painting, it was over a cheap bag because I had to dress with this outfit.
Right.
And it was the appropriate thing, like, oh, you can't wear this, you have to wear tennis shoes and this, and you gotta wear sandals. And it was like so un-Americanized and so not culturalized because the dollar doesn't have a value.
You're right.
And as soon as I got to the airport and I sat down on the plane and I had my painting with me, it was the mirror image of myself to express through my artwork. Because when I paint, I jump into oblivion, and it's my private moment that I don't know how to express myself other through my paintings. And I speak through my paintings of what resilience is and defiance means. And without the words, I can express myself through my paintings.
Right.
And I've been fighting all my life because I've been a child labor and I have been human trafficking before. So I know what it is to fight for freedom.
Right.
And I know one word, escape. And that is my life. And I have never let go of my artwork. I fight for my artwork and my life because it was between leaving everything and just put my clothes on and take my painting with me. I could care less about anything. But I was in letting go, and then they were trying to sabotage me from going into the embassy. But here I am, and I made it to my freedom. I walked through my freedom, through my voice and my foot. And here I am in my skin, like I wrote my poem in 2015, in my skin. And I won at Mola Museum internationally in Long Beach. So here I am now today, in my skin, speaking to you, in my skin, feeling everything that I can possibly feel and see and feel and hear and feel and breathe the oxygen through my skin art. And that's all I have to say.
That's wonderful. Wonderful. It's this is my YouTube channel.
Oh, Art and Design 43?
Yeah. And so I'll probably post this in several sections on there.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
No, not at all.
Because it's your story, and
I mean, I went from like being abused, assaulted, robbed in the United States, not being able to scream for help, to desperation, to being recaptured and enter other borders, lost in translation, and then being jailed, paid the price for freedom that I didn't know I didn't have because I always been free.
Right.
And then paying the price for something I didn't do, go through my seizures and auras and still survive. And I was fighting, but I couldn't have done it through the art communities and the GoFundMe. And, I have to give it to the Guerreras, the title that I carry through the Long Beach and Efren Luna. And you were there for that.
yes.
And, I have a lot to carry on my shoulders with that title, Guerrera. And Patricia Bonilla, I have to give her the most outstanding cousin family member that had she not done everything in the United States and the paperwork, I would still be put back in the asylum. And all the gossipers that have tried to destroy my name. And my other family members came through. But I can count them in 1, 2, 3. And that is like ABC. And I stayed that in my lifetime. And the art communities of Long Beach, Downey, the Art Coalition, Dolce Stein. It's the art communities I have been more fabulous, and my friends they did the GoFundMe, and now being here at the project, and I can express my gratitude for everybody that's been here, including you, Art. It's just been, it's so much to say, and this is the most that I can express right now in this time of transitioning into my new life. And I said I have anchored myself back in my skin, to adjust back in my skin, to relive a new life. And the painting says it all that is here today. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Good to see you, Beck.
Thank you.
You're welcome. My pleasure. My
Did I
pleasure.
say what?
You said it in your own words, and that's all that counts. It's nobody else speaking for you.
Right.
It's your voice.
It's very difficult to tell the story.
Right.
Because it's so much happened. There was torturous.
Nobody could write a book, a fiction book.
No, it was so torturous. I mean, it got to the point that there was somebody from Russia, and she started to bully me. And I went back in, and I had a seizure, and I had to go to the bathroom, and I did it inside the minivan.
Yeah.
And she was bullying me, and I had to put her on a chokehold. And I said, "I'm taking you to death." I said, "My life or your life." I go, "Because you get to go to the bathroom, and I don't. And I have $6 to negotiate, and I have to negotiate it with the military, you know." And I won. I won the battle. And I felt good,
Right.
because it was my life. And I had to stand up to somebody bigger than me. But that's how you have to do it. It was like fighting a gorilla, you know? And it was like, and I was having seizures. But I had to do what I had to do, and I had to do my artwork to negotiate my $6 for a Coke, cigarettes, and a little bit to eat. And I had to give it to a doggy, you know? But that's what it takes to survive, you know, the war for freedom.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I started my year with proclamation of independence in front of the Lincoln statue in downtown LA as an activist, with a black person named Ted Hayes and a rabbi, Herzl. And I was the only one representing the art community from El Salvador for all the artists in California.
Right. Right.
And now we find me here fighting for freedom. And I found my freedom. I'm anchoring myself now.
Yes. Yes.
That is all of my story, and I'm sticking to that one now. Thank you.